Straight out to Henry Lee, reporter with the San Francisco Chronicle. Henry, what is the very latest?
Well, the very latest, Jane, is that at one point, John Webb was in jail in custody for child endangerment, but the district attorney's office did not file charges, so he's a free man. He, in fact, showed up, Jane, at a vigil for missing Daphne Webb outside the store where he says he last saw her. The police are still looking for this little child, and he is saying he has nothing to do with her disappearance.
HLN contributor John Lieberman, you've been investigating, you've been making calls, you've been digging. What have you learned?
Here's what we know at this point, Jane. It's very interesting. Police have released a photo of the little girl and her father because they're trying to put a timeline together of when they were last seen together, because family and friends say that they weren't seen together for until 2 weeks before the little girl went missing. And police are skeptical that this was a stranger abduction in broad daylight, in late morning, while this man was in the convenience store for all of a few minutes. So they're trying to put together this timeline to see if the dad's story adds up.
Here's the problem, the big problem with the father's story. Police say the last confirmed sighting of baby Daphne, and look at this adorable child, is from late June. And we're well into July, people. Despite the dad says, oh, she disappeared July 10th. So there's a gap of about 2 weeks when the family sees this little girl and when he says, oh, she disappears while I get an energy drink at the convenience store. When the dad reports his toddler missing, he was then jailed by authorities, you just heard that, for child endangerment because he left a toddler alone in a car with a woman who suffers from dementia. But again, those charges were not filed against him. So he has been released. Now, we have an exclusive interview with Kevin Davis. You are the grandfather of this missing toddler on the mother's side. First of all, thank you for joining us. I know you must be heartbroken and absolutely torn apart. This is an adorable toddler. We want to help find her. Do you buy the dad's story? You're a part of this family. Do you buy the dad's story?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me on, and for us to have a chance to put this on air. There's some questions that I have about it, and basically that's the question. One of the questions is, when the story came out, the baby seat, the car seat, is a little difficult to take a loose. So you need a few minutes to take that off and get the baby out. But even more so, there was an adult in the car. Even though she had dementia, you can't really see dementia on the face of a person. So the question I have is, who is bold enough to take the baby out of the car with an adult in the car present?
Well, if you could stand by, sir, let us go to the Lion's Den, because this maternal grandfather is raising very good questions. And I'll start with Vinnie Parco. Vinnie, he makes the point that, yeah, Grandma had dementia, but how does anybody know that Grandma had dementia unless you had a crystal ball?
Well, I don't think, this whole story sounds very fishy. Number one, the wife is in jail, is in rehab. She has a drug problem. He claims that he's home as a homebody. What is he? How's he making his money? I smell I smell drugs all over this case. And maybe he's a drug dealer. Maybe someone took the kid as revenge because he beat him on a deal. Who knows?
Well,
but the story's very fishy.
I don't want to attack this dad. I mean, he is the father of this child. And Mark Klass, you are the president and founder of Klass Kids Foundation. You are the leader in this nation in seeking missing children. Your own precious daughter was abducted and murdered, so you know that it can happen. And sometimes parents, when they report something like this, they're treated with skepticism.
Well, they're going to be treated with skepticism because the numbers always take you back to two things: the last person to see the child and the person and the child's family, their parents, because the statistics are very clear that in the vast majority of cases, parents are involved. I think something else, just to add on to what Kevin said, there are degrees of dementia. The fact that she has dementia doesn't mean that she's completely and totally zoned out all the time by any means. She might have slight episodes. She might be coherent and cognizant the vast majority of the time. So I think that Kevin's absolutely correct. I think something else that needs to be pointed out is that first of all, is a very mean street. that location at 79th and International Boulevard. But there's also a lot of businesses there, so there are going to be a variety of surveillance cameras in and around that neighborhood. And to think that nobody caught anything, either him parking, him getting out of the car, or somebody leaving with that little child, I think speaks volumes.